You are too short. Be a ball boy.
Every coach I've ever had, every single one said the same thing.
But this time, the laughter carried a finality. Coach Maeda cut Kazu from the squad for good, and the team did not protest. Weeks later, in a must-win match, Kazu was the last defender standing before a striker 2 heads taller. The striker launched a shot that seemed destined for the top corner, and Kazu's body moved on its own. His legs uncoiled, a deep, ancient energy detonating in his muscles, and he catapulted into the sky. He shot past the floodlights, past the clouds, into a cold, silent black. The stadium was a coin beneath him, and he was alone with the stars. Time froze. Then he plummeted, faster than gravity, his forehead colliding with the ball. The ball never touched the net. Kazu smashed into the ground, ears ringing, chest empty.
How did I? Something's wrong. I can't breathe.
Before that impossible block, before gasping in the dust, Kazu had known only one verdict his whole life.
You are too short to ever play this game. Don't waste my time.
He didn't quit. Instead, he found a narrow alley with a chipped wall and made it his classroom, his battleground. Now, in a sterile league office, the same mockery resurfaced, wrapped in suspicion and cold professionalism. No human should jump that high. The officials replayed the video and whispered a single damning word: cheat. A week passed. Kazu sat alone in his cramped apartment, still unable to draw a full breath without coughing. When he faced the bathroom mirror, his reflection looked gaunt. And for a flicker, a darker silhouette stood just behind his shoulder.
There's something in me. Something that wasn't there before. And it's drinking my air.
He couldn't name it, but he felt the theft in his bones. That singular leap had carved a hollow inside him.
Whatever this power is, it's a debt. And I don't know when the next payment's due.
In a private training complex, the most feared striker in the world, Titan, watched Kazu's impossible block on a screen the size of a wall.
This runt thinks he can fly? Let the whole league see what happens to insects who get in my way.
48 hours later, live on national television, Titan leaned into the microphone and issued a promise that stopped the country cold.
I will break his legs, every bone that keeps him upright, and the whole world will watch me do it.
Kazu saw the transmission from his apartment, the threat slicing through him, sharper than any physical wound. The shadow behind him in the mirror that night was no longer a flicker. It stood unmistakably, with hollow white eyes, watching.
So, that's it. A monster inside me, and a monster on the pitch. One will kill me, and the world wants to watch.
As the days passed, the anticipation of the match consumed the public. Every news channel replayed Titan's challenge, and Kazu's phone buzzed with demands for a response.
How can I face him? I can barely breathe. After one jump, he'll shatter me before I even get off the ground.
But in the silence of his room, one question echoed louder than the threats, louder than the doubt. If I don't face him now, what was any of this suffering for? That night, sleep never arrived. The silence was too loud, and inside it, something ancient stirred. A voice older than language coiled through the darkness, promising glory if he would only reach higher. He could not ignore it. Before dawn, he dragged himself to the training ground. For hours, he threw himself into the sky, each jump a rebellion against gravity, each landing a confession of fragility. By dusk, his legs were buckling. The ground was a blur of pain, but the whisper in his skull grew louder, more insistent. He collapsed, chest heaving, vision swimming. In the dirt, his own shadow stretched into a sickly, leering form.
What are you? Why are you doing this?
No answer came. Only the hollow, hungry silence of the entity that fed on his leaps and seemed to smile. When he finally stumbled home, his legs were a lattice of black bruises. He traced them with trembling fingers, understanding the debt he was paying.
I'll face Titan. Not for pride, not for victory, but to prove that the shortest man on the pitch can touch heaven and survive the fall.
The next morning, a hesitant knock broke the silence of Kazu's apartment. Aoi stood outside, notebook clutched like a shield, eyes full of worry.
Kazu, open up. I've been calling for days. Please, let me help.
There's nothing to help with. Just go away, Aoi. Write your story without me.
But the League, under public pressure, demanded answers. That afternoon, Kazu was forced into a sterile medical chamber for exhaustive tests.
Look at the scans, Kazu. Everything is normal. No drugs, no abnormalities. By every medical standard, you shouldn't be able to jump like that.
Normal? Then why does every jump feel like it tears something out of me? What are you not seeing?
The League cleared him publicly, but the media twisted it into a new smear. Headlines screamed, "Freak or fraud," and speculation about unknown drugs ran wild. That night, alone again, his shallow breaths echoed the whisper that never left his skull. The ancient voice seemed pleased by his solitude.
They can't prove anything, but they don't need to. The court of the crowd already condemned me. The only verdict left is on the pitch.
He blocked Aoi's calls, refused her visits. The cage of the upcoming match had no room for anyone who might pull him back. 2 days before the match, while searching for his old boots, Kazu uncovered a dusty box of his grandfather's belongings in a forgotten closet. Inside, a journal bound in cracked leather. Its pages were filled with frantic sketches and a single recurring phrase, Kyoshin, Sky Spirit. Kazu read aloud from the crumbling entries. "We made a pact with the Sky Spirit. It grants the power to leap beyond all limits, but it feeds on the leaper's breath." A crude drawing depicted a short figure launching upward, while a shadowy form behind him inhaled a wisp of light from his mouth.
That's exactly what I feel. That thing. It's been breathing me out, jump after jump.
The room temperature dropped. The ancient voice materialized fully behind him, its skeletal hands resting on his shoulders, a silent confirmation.
You are not just some parasite. You are a family curse. My grandfather made this deal, and now it's wrapped around me.
The spirit did not speak, but its glow intensified around Kazu's chest, as if savoring the air he struggled to hold. Another passage detailed the pact's cruelest term. The power is not infinite. Each leap subtracts from the leaper's life. There is a final jump, the one that feeds the spirit forever.
So each time I jump, I am closer to that final payment. Titan's challenge might be the one that seals my fate.
Determined to measure the cost, Kazu returned to the training ground, where the silence gave way to the grind of his failing body.
One leap. Just one. And I can't draw a full breath for hours. How many more? Until the last one.
A third jump blacked the world. He woke in a sterile room, Dr. Haruka's face grim above him.
Kazu, I don't know how you did it, but your heart almost stopped. One more jump like that will kill you.
So the cost is my life. The pact's final payment could be the match against Titan.
In the quiet of that room, the ancient voice's presence thickened, its message unmistakable. Use the jump in the match, and it would be magnificent. When Aoi cornered him outside, she was not asking anymore. She demanded answers.
Kazu, you are killing yourself. Tell me what's happening. I've seen the bruises, the way you can't breathe.
Tay, there's a voice inside me. Aoi, an ancient spirit that feeds on every jump. My grandfather made a pact, and now I am paying for it.
Then don't play. Let Titan have his victory. Your life is worth more than a match.
I can't, Aoi. If I quit, the world will remember me as a fraud. I have to prove something.
By noon, the League sanctioned the match. Titan versus Kazu was now unavoidable, and the nation waited like vultures. That evening, Titan's camp released a training video of him destroying 6 dummies with one kick. The internet erupted.
He's a wrecking ball, but the voice won't let me retreat. I am trapped.
The ancient voice no longer whispered. It demanded, coiling around Kazu's mind like a cold leash.
I am not your puppet. This is my choice, isn't it?
But his body betrayed him. Every shallow breath proved the spirit already owned a piece of him.
Kazu, the doctor said one more jump will kill you. Isn't there anything more important than this match?
She's right, but my legs itch to leap. It feels like I'm already possessed.
Kazu stood frozen, the spirit's grip tightening. Ao's tears felt like a verdict he could not accept, yet could not escape. Aoi fled into the night, and the temperature dropped again. The ancient voice stretched into a towering silhouette, its hollow eyes fixed on Kazu. For the first time, the spirit gave a name, Sora no Kage, the shadow of the sky. Its voice scraped like nails on bone.
Sora no Kage. So you've been feeding on my family for generations, waiting for the final leap.
The spirit's claw traced the wisp of light escaping Kazu's lips. The greatest leap. It rasped, will shatter the pact and set me free. But your breath will stay with me forever.
So I am the final offering. The jump against Titan will kill me, and you'll be free.
Kazu tore through the journal, searching for a clause, a loophole, anything. The pages offered nothing but the stark terms of a blood debt. The spirit's laughter echoed inside his skull. You are the last of your line. It mocked, the pact ends with you, one way or another.
No loophole, no escape. I either die on that pitch, or this curse passes to someone else after me.
Sora no Kage whispered its final temptation. Make the leap glorious, and your name will echo forever.
Glorious or not, it's still my death. But if I don't jump, the world will never know the truth. I have to choose, but not yet.
The next morning, Kazu tried a light jog. On the third stride, his vision splintered, and the ground rushed up. He woke in sterile white, paramedics around him. Aoi's voice somewhere beyond the beeping monitors.
Kazu, your respiratory system is degrading at a rate I cannot explain. You are not fit to play. The league has my official ban.
Please, Kazu, listen to her. The match doesn't matter anymore. You'll die if you try.
In the corner of the room, Sora no Kage loomed, a silent skeletal grin. Its patience was a predator's.
Even now, it watches, waiting for me to refuse, to prove I am a coward, and let the curse devour someone else.
If you step onto that field, your heart could stop before the final whistle. Do you understand?
Is proving something to strangers worth your life? Answer me, Kazu.
I can't answer, because if I am honest, I don't know. I am hanging between a life I'll lose and a death that might mean something.
The match was 24 hours away. Kazu lay motionless, the spirit's cold weight pressing on his chest, and the silence offered no escape. That night, fever dragged Kazu into a gray void where time did not exist. A small, tired figure emerged from the mist. The man looked like the photograph, his grandfather, worn by famine, yet carrying a fierce pride. The pact was made to save our village from starvation, not to feed a spirit. But Sora no Kage twisted it, demanding a final glorious sacrifice to be freed. Listen carefully. The spirit can only consume your breath if you leap for glory. Reject that glory, and the pact breaks without killing you.
So that's the loophole. I don't have to die. I just have to jump without wanting the fame. I can block Titan for myself, not for a cursed legacy.
Behind the ancestor, Sora no Kage materialized with a silent shriek, its ethereal claws reaching, but the old man's image flared, driving it back. Kazu jerked awake in the hospital bed, the journal clutched to his chest, his lungs burning with a fierce new hope.
I'll play the match. Not for the cameras, not for the history books, but to prove that the shortest man can touch heaven and walk away whole.
Sora no Kage hovered in the corner, its hollow eyes wide with what could only be called dread. Its perfect plan had just fractured. Outside the window, the stadium floodlights flickered on. The match that would decide everything was only 12 hours away. At dawn, Kazu forced himself upright and signed the league's waiver, accepting full responsibility for whatever happened on that pitch.
Kazu, please, at least let me drive you. You can barely stand.
I know what I am doing. Aoi, for the first time in my life, it's my choice.
He stopped at his family's small shrine, placing the aged journal beside a faded photograph of his grandfather.
I promise you, grandfather, I'll break the pact. I'll jump, but not for Sora no Kage's glory. I'll jump for every short kid who ever got cut.
Sora no Kage's silhouette twisted, and a soundless shriek rattled the windows. The spirit's hold was splintering. Kazu turned his back on the past and walked toward the stadium, each step a pulse of defiance. Aoi watched from the street corner, tears staining her notebook, her voice a whisper.
Touch heaven and come back whole. That's the only victory that matters.
Behind him, the spirit's voice clawed at the edge of his mind. You cannot escape. Kazu did not flinch. In the packed hall, cameras flashed. Titan leaned into the microphone, his smirk a weapon.
You'll be a stain on the grass, little man. A footnote they'll scrape off after the first whistle.
Kazu sat motionless, skin the color of chalk, his inhaler clutched in one trembling hand.
Not for glory. Not for applause. I'll jump so Sora no Kage has nothing to feed on.
With effort that silenced the back row, he rose and approached the second microphone.
I am not playing to win. I am playing to prove that the shortest man on the pitch can touch heaven.
The room went still. In the stands, Aoi's notebook slid from her lap, her cheeks wet with tears.
Touch heaven. You can't even touch my shoulders. Tomorrow you'll touch dirt.
Kazu's eyes met Titan's without blinking. The match was now inevitable, a verdict signed in breath and defiance. He stepped away from the lights. Aoi watched, writing nothing, because no words could stop it now. That night, sleep was a battlefield. Every time Kazu closed his eyes, Sora no Kage painted his death in vivid, choking detail. The spirit showed him falling from impossible heights, chest collapsing, the world cheering his last breath as a victory. A soft knock cut through the darkness. Aoi didn't wait for permission. She let herself in.
I know you are not asleep. I can't sleep either.
You shouldn't be here, Aoi. If anyone sees...
I don't care. Tomorrow, you are going to do something insane. I need you to know. I'll be there, no matter what.
If I don't make it, tell them. Not the League's version. Not Titan's. The truth about the pact. The jumps, the breath I lost. Make sure they know.
You are not going to die, Kazu. You are going to prove that the shortest man can touch heaven and walk away.
They didn't speak after that. She simply sat beside him until the first gray light of morning. When Kazu finally rose, his legs were shaking, but his eyes held the calm of someone who had already made peace. On the practice pitch, Kazu tried to touch his toes. The world tilted. He straightened up, gasping, already spent.
Kazu, here is the last-minute medical waiver. Sign it, and you walk away with your life.
He took the paper, glanced at it, then slowly ripped it down the middle. The pieces fluttered to the grass.
No more retreats. This is my jump, not Sora no Kage's feast.
The arena filled. 60,000 souls chanting Titan's name, a wall of noise that pressed against Kazu's chest. In the player tunnel, shoulder to shoulder, Kazu's head barely reached Titan's ribs. The giant didn't even look down.
Height doesn't matter when you can reach the stratosphere.
They burst onto the pitch, the floodlights making everything harsh. Titan's glare was a promise of violence. The spirit's absence was a void, colder than any whisper. Sora no Kage was waiting, silent and starving, for the leap. The referee's whistle cut the air, sharp as a blade. The match had begun. Titan's first touch was a statement. He shouldered through Kazu as if the smaller defender were a training cone.
Stay down, insect. The only flight you'll take is off my cleat.
Kazu tried to shadow him, but every collision was a losing equation. He hit the grass twice, 3 times. gasping for air.
Why isn't the voice screaming? Why aren't my legs burning with that cursed power? Have you abandoned me, Sora? No Kage.
The halftime whistle came as a mercy. Kazu limped toward the tunnel, each step a question mark hanging over him. In the silent locker room, he faced the mirror. He expected the leering shadow, the hungry outline. Instead, only his own hollow face stared back.
You left. You truly left. I am empty, but empty means I can jump without feeding you. This is how I break the curse. Not with your power, but with my own legs. My own spirit.
He slammed the locker door, a sound of finality. The boy who relied on shadows was gone. The second half whistle loomed, and Kazu walked back onto the pitch alone. Not carrying a curse, but the weight of a final choice, the second half ignited. Titan, fury in his eyes, burst through the midfield line like a freight train. Defenders scattered. It was just Titan and Kazu now, the giant winding up his leg for the kill. The strike was a thunderclap. The ball left Titan's foot with enough force to shatter a wall.
Now, no spirit, no curse, just my own legs and the sky.
A blinding azure light exploded, not from outside, but from the deepest core of Kazu's being. The ground cratered beneath him, and he launched a human rocket defying every law of physics. He shot past the floodlights, past the clouds, his own will burning brighter than any curse. Titan's shot was a distant white speck below him, still climbing. The world was silent.
This is my jump, not for glory, not for death, to prove that the shortest man can touch heaven.
At the edge of space, the last of his breath hung frozen. He tilted his head downward and fell toward the ball, a choice, not a sacrifice. He dove. The ball grew from a speck to a planet, and his forehead met it with a thunderous crack, a silent explosion of light, and the ball rocketed back toward Earth, a reversed meteor. But in that instant, Sora no Kage tore from the vacuum, a clawing shadow desperate to collect its debt. Skeletal fingers plunged toward his lips, ready to rip the remaining breath from his body.
I am not your sacrifice.
Cracks of pure light splintered across the ancient form. The shadow shrieked without sound and shattered. The last shard of the curse evaporated. With nothing left to hold him, Kazu's body surrendered to gravity. He fell, a ragdoll against the blue void, the spent shell of a hero who had just touched heaven. 60,000 eyes tracked the tiny dot re-entering the atmosphere. No parachute, no parachute, no plan, just a boy and the ground. The grass below rushed up, and the only sound was the collective held breath of a nation. The ball returned first, skidding across the penalty area and bouncing harmlessly against the advertising boards. Titan's gaze snapped from the sky to the ball, his jaw slack. The unstoppable shot had been stopped. Then the ground shook. Kazu cratered the turf with a sickening, wet thud that cut through the silence. 60,000 souls did not breathe. The stadium was a cathedral of dread, every eye locked on the tiny, broken figure.
Kazu, no.
Aoi broke free of the security guards, her notebook scattering behind her, and sprinted across the emerald field. She collapsed beside him, gathering his head into her lap, her tears falling onto his still, pale face. Paramedics swarmed, pushing Aoi aside. They cut his jersey open and pressed for a pulse. One shook his head and reached for the defibrillator. Kazu's chest remained still, no breath, no heartbeat. And the world, the coaches, the strikers, the millions watching through their screens, held its breath and waited. After 30 agonizing seconds, Kazu's index finger curled. Aoi gasped, clutching it tighter. His eyelids fluttered, then opened just a sliver, reflecting the floodlights.
Kazu, stay with me. Please stay.
A faint, exhausted smile cracked his bruised lips. He had come back from the edge of heaven. The stadium erupted. Not for a goal, but a resurrection. The roar was of relief. not victory. Across the field, Titan stood frozen. Slowly, he raised one hand and gave a single, solemn nod. Paramedics lifted the stretcher. Kazu's head lolled, but his eyes found Aoi's. He was still here.
Touched heaven and came back. Not for glory. For every child who was told they were too small.
They carried him into the tunnel. The shadow of the curse finally gone. The shortest defender had stood taller than any giant, and the world would remember days later. Dr. Haruka gave Kazu the news he expected. His lungs were permanently damaged.
You'll live normally, but you can never play professional soccer again.
A fair trade. I am still breathing. That's more than I hoped.
That afternoon, a league official presented the match ball in a glass case, signed by both teams. He lifted it out, tracing Titan's bold signature with his thumb.
The man who threatened to break my legs signed my ball. The world watched.
At dusk, cold air returned. Sora no Kage flickered into view, a ghostly wisp, no malice left. It impressed a single thought into him. You were always the better part of me. Then it scattered into light, dissolving through the ceiling into the sky. Kazu stared out the window at the stars, a quiet smile on his face. He had touched heaven. Now, he could rest. 6 months later, Kazu stood on a neighborhood field, a whistle around his neck, surrounded by children. He taught them not how to jump, but how to believe. Your size doesn't define your reach.
Maybe they'll never leap as I did, but they'll know the shortest can touch the sky.
From the sideline, Aoi raised her camera. She was still recording his story. Across the city, a mural on the stadium wall depicted a tiny figure mid-jump, wings of light stretching toward the clouds. Beneath it, a single line. He proved the shortest can touch heaven. Kazu visited once. He didn't linger. He turned back to the children, who were kicking up dust and laughter.
No curse, no pact. Just this. And it's enough.
He tilted his face to the sun, and above him, the sky stretched wide open and waiting.